Hey YouTube, Tom Heason with Tom Heason Photography here, and in this video I'm going to be going over my leg of my trip to Southeast Asia when I was in Malaysia. So I spent most of my time in Malaysia because that's where I was working, and most of that time was around Kuala Lumpur or KL. However, I did get to travel around KL a bit, as well as go up to the Cameron Highlands, which is the tea capital of Malaysia. It's all tea plantations up in a cooler climate, which is quite nice to go to and get out of the city and get to some place that's, um, in comparison, cold. So I will go over Cameron Highlands first. So my advice for Cameron Highlands is, first off, either bus or walk most of your travels in the Cameron Highlands, or cab the whole thing. So it's very spread out. There's a lot of little pockets of towns throughout the Highlands. So you can either take a cab, which will drive you everywhere and you won't have to worry about trying to get a cab, or you can bus and then walk a lot, which is really nice, and I would recommend doing that. However, if you don't want to walk a lot, I would get a cab, because if you're walking and decide you want a cab, sometimes one, you can't find one, or two, they're all booked by someone, or three, due to traffic, they don't actually want to come and pick you up. And funny enough, with the taxis in Malaysia, you can actually ask them if they want to drive you somewhere or come pick you up, and they'll just say no. That's a little unusual to me, but that's how it happens there. Anyways, moving on. What I ended up doing was I took a bus from Tanorada, from my hotel, to the bottom of the Bow Tea Plantation Road. So the Bow Tea Plantation is the largest plantation in Cameron Highlands, and you get dropped off at the bottom of the road, and it's about a 2 to 3 kilometer road, and you get to walk up the road, and it winds around and up and down the highlands, and it's an amazing, amazing walk. Great views, tea plantations everywhere, and it's also really amusing to watch a two-way street that is about 1.5 cars wide at some places. So there's a lot of traffic jams, a lot of pileups, not due to accidents usually. I didn't see any accidents, but mostly because the locals get out and direct cars within like centimeters of each other to pass each other on the road. It's kind of amusing to see, and that's another nice reason to walk. Is you'll probably feel a lot safer, especially if you have any type of anxiety or fear of heights. Um, so it's a great walk, great photos, very picturesque landscape. And when you get to the Bow Tea Plantation, you can drink really nice tea, buy all the tea you can hold. That's what I would recommend. And then I walked back, and it started to rain. So if you're not prepared for the rain, I probably wouldn't recommend walking around Cameron Highlands, because it does rain a lot there because it's in the mountains. However, if you're prepared for the rain and you have a rain jacket and your backpack's waterproof, you're good to go. So me and the other people I was with, we walked back and it was fine. We got wet, but I had my raincoat and my Low Pro Photo Sport 200 AW, so I had the all-weather bag, so that was fine. And nothing valuable got wet. But yeah, so I would highly recommend walking around, and walking or driving to the Bow Tea Plantation. Very great landscape. The other thing is there's a lot of jungle around there, and you can do amazing hikes. There's easy hikes. We did a really nice, flat, nothing crazy hike. And there's also hikes up mountains, and I heard those get pretty treacherous. So all skill levels for jungle trekking, which is my new favorite hobby, was hiking around the jungles. I'll post a photo after this, which is one of my favorite photos I took during that whole trip, not just to Cameron Highlands, but Anyways, I'll move on. So that was Cameron Highlands. Highly recommend going there. And the place I stayed, I don't know if it will continue being good because things usually kind of decay kind of fast there, but it was the Century Pines Resort. Very nice place, middle price, and they had an amazing breakfast buffet. So if you go on a big hike or a lot of walking, it's a great place to stuff your face in the morning. Anyways, back to KL. In KL, the main tourist attraction for taking pictures is the Petronas Towers, or the Twin Towers, or the towers, especially at night because they light up really, really bright white lights on them, so they look really cool at night. I got some chromy pictures of it at night with my cell phone because I didn't have my camera with me at the time because I was going out to eat dinner and stuff and go to bars, so I didn't want to bring my camera with me. And the other thing with KL and other cities is you might want to be careful with your camera gear. I did not see hardly any people walking around with their DSLRs, which means that it's probably not safe to. I wouldn't, and pretty much everyone else didn't, so keep it concealed, keep it hidden. I carried mine around in my Photo Sport low pro bag, and it looks like a normal backpack, more or less, so it doesn't scream valuables. So I would just avoid walking around in a bag that screams camera bag because might be chancing getting it stolen. Another thing for any of those places, Malaysia, Singapore, Cambodia, is it's really hot, really humid, and you can get a lot of condensation happening with your camera when you go from a cold environment to a hot environment. So I would watch that. What I would recommend is you just keep your camera in your bag for like 45 minutes, 30 minutes outside before you take it out so it has time to slowly heat up. Because if you take it out when it's really cold, it would just get covered in moisture. And then you can't take any photos and risk the chance, depending on the build quality of your camera and your lens, to get moisture inside your gear, condensating on your stuff, which is not advised. Another thing is there's a lot of temples and mosques around Kuala Lumpur, as well as other places like Penang, to go see. And people, I didn't go to Penang, and I had some friends that did, and they really liked it, and some of them didn't. So depends. You can look it up if you want to go to Penang. And there's a lot of places with a lot of history there. So if you do like history, if you do like architecture, there's a lot of stuff for that. My favorite temple was Batu Caves, which is a Hindu temple that is up in a cave. So there's a lot of stairs. So if you don't like stairs, maybe don't go to Batu Caves. However, you can hike up all these stairs, and there is a temple in a cave, and it's pretty cool, minus all of the garbage that they had kicking around on the ground. Lastly, I didn't get a chance to go to Borneo, but I would highly recommend, if you can, going to Borneo. You might have to be a little more careful because it's less developed, so safety and all that might be a little bit more at risk. But it is a very nice island. I had some friends that went there, and they loved it. However, when I was contemplating going there, a small battle broke out between some separatist group from the Philippines deciding that part of Borneo belonged to them. So they came over and tried to take over some of the land, and that just ensued in a big fight. So didn't go to Borneo. However, if there's no fighting in Borneo, I would highly recommend going there because it is, I've heard, a great place. And that brings me to most of my list that I have written down. My last thing is that Malaysia, there is a boatload of rain. So I would highly recommend getting a weather sealed camera and lens, and a very solidly built or designed bag for the weather. Low Pro, their bags are really good if they have the all-weather AW, because you can just take that bag and wrap it around your bag so that no water can get in. Again, the Photo Sport, amazing bag, worked really, really well. I felt completely comfortable walking around in their semi-torrential downpour, rains, and not worrying about my gear. Also, I was walking around with a weather-sealed camera and lens, so again, I wasn't too worried. So just be careful of the rain, because when it rains, it really, really rains. So be careful, because you can be like, oh, this is fine, it's minor, and then it would just pour on you. So that is my tips and advice for Malaysia, excluding Langkawi. You can check out that video. I'll probably have put a link up somewhere here. And again, highly recommend Cameron Highlands. That was probably the highlight of all of that. So definitely go see Cameron Highlands if you are in Malaysia, along with Langkawi. Also recommend Langkawi. Anyways, that's all for now. My next video, and probably my last video, will be of Singapore. So stay posted for that. And again, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, again, this is just a broad overview. If I went through all of the detail of all of the places I went to in Malaysia, it would take a lot more than 10 minutes. So hope that helps. If you have any questions, just toss them down below and I'll be more than happy to help. So with that, I will end it here. So cheers. Take it easy.